Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening to everybody out there viewing either on Facebook Live or on YouTube. Welcome to this evening's edition of Dialogues with Doc. This is this week's edition of Dialogues with Doc for Wednesday, October 21st, 2020. That's right. It's Wednesday. It's October 21st, and it's 2020. And I didn't realize how close we were to Christmas until I was in the grocery store today and saw like Christmas trees and stuff. So I'm like, yo, Christmas literally is right around the corner. So happy Wednesday, everybody. That was my personal moment of the day where I'm just like, man, this year is almost over. We are almost at Christmas and Thanksgiving and some of my favorite holidays. And yes, it's true. We are like this close to Christmas and New Year's. And this year has literally gone January, February, March, quarantine, and now it's October, soon to be November. So that's my personal vent session for the night. Of just how quick and how fast this year has gone. Of course, you guys know we were in an election season as well. So please make sure, please, sir, please, ma'am, that you are registered to vote. You should be by now because we are less than a few weeks away from elections on November the 3rd. I'm not telling you who to vote for or how you should vote, but please know that I want to make sure that your voice is heard and that you are definitely a part of the conversation at hand as far as relates to the things that take place within our nation. So without any further ado, this is this week's edition of Dialogues with Doc. And I want to do my normal check-in. So just ask if you're watching tonight, where are you watching from? If you are watching us live on tonight, we are based out of the Washington, D.C. area, but this streams across platforms each and everywhere all across the world. If you're watching tonight, where are you watching from? Go ahead and chime in. I have a great, exciting guest on tonight who I'm so excited to be a part of this conversation. And if you've been watching each and every week, I want to thank you for your support. Thank you for your feedback. Thank you for everything that you guys have poured into me over the last few weeks and a few months. And we've been doing this thing since August the 5th. So it's been quite a few months. Hey, Tania, I see you watching from Tennessee. Thank you so much for joining. Tania was one of my guests a few weeks ago when we did the Black Educator female edition, and she was an awesome and amazing panelist doing some great work in the Tennessee area. So thank you for watching, Tania, again, and for joining me. Again, if you're watching tonight, let me know where you're watching from in the chat. I want to highlight you, want to scream you out. I want to say hey to Ray Ray and them, hey to Kiki and them, and Boo Baby and all them. So if you're watching, please let me know where you are watching from in the chat as I'm allowing my guests to get set up for tonight's conversation. So, if you've been watching, we talked about numerous things thus far. We've talked about the importance of your dash. We've had some black female educators on. We've had some black male educators on. We talked about last week about the PWI HBCU divide as it relates to what they offer personally and professionally. And so this week I decided to do something different. I wanted to bring on a guest and have like a one-on-one conversation again. I haven't done it in a few weeks. I normally have a panel of individuals on who kind of help me and kind of help support me as we talk through the different random topics throughout the week that come up for discussion. But this week I wanted to do something different, and I wanted to bring on a guest whom I feel has a lot to say. A guest whom I feel definitely, I'm going to use one of his words, has a journey. A guest who I'm very proud to be connected to. The funny part about it is I've been connected to this guest for a while via social media, and we just like connected all of a sudden. Just one day it just kind of clicked, and we was like, oh, you're doing this, I'm doing that. We should link up. We should do a bunch of different things together. So I'm very excited about my guest on tonight. So I'm going to get ready to bring him on because I know he has another engagement tonight as well, but I definitely am appreciative of him being a part of tonight's conversation. So give me 1 second to get him set up. I'm gonna bring him on to join me. My brother. How are you, man?
I'm good. Can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you very clearly. If you're watching in the chat, let me know or let us know if you can hear him very clearly. How are you, man? Happy Wednesday. How's it going?
Dude, this is definitely hump day.
Definitely, man. But we are making it and we're pushing it through, man. So I'm thankful for having you on tonight. I know that you and we just hung out together on Monday because I was invited on his "You Were Not Invited" segment on Monday. So I'm very excited to have you on here tonight, man. I'm just gonna jump right in because I know you got a lot to do tonight, and you still have another segment to do as well after. But just for the people who have never heard of Garth Voisin, tell us a little bit more about you.
Originally from Trinidad and Tobago, nice little island. Great environment to grow up in. I think a lot of values that we take and as kids and grow up into. Did journaling for a long time, so decided to turn it into a passion and become an author. I have a couple of books on Amazon. The latest being The Journey Continues to Evolve, which is somewhat like a self-help series of books, mainly to kind of empower people. I don't like the word inspire as much. I think inspiration and all that stuff. I like the idea that a lot of people are doing it. But I call myself an empowerment agent because I want to empower people to do different things that maybe they're having a little bit of challenges with doing. So I changed the narrative to empowerment agent. I have the segment, as you said, You Were Not Invited, where I invite entrepreneurs, people, creatives like myself and yourself to get a platform to share their journey with other people who may need that extra push. It's something that I've started just because I feel I wanted to flip the script and give people that platform. We always talk about support, but we talk about it, but don't do much of it. So definitely that. And then I have the Dear Men project, which started in January, earlier just before COVID, where we create a platform again for men to build a bridge between themselves and those who love them, to kind of create a little bit more effective communication.
Gotcha. No, so Garth, you are how do I say it? Author, speaker, thought leader. I did my research too. I forgot model, actor, father. You have all of these titles, but the one that stuck out to me the most was empowerment agent. Define what an empowerment agent does. For those of you who are watching, please make sure you follow him on all social media platforms. He's going to drop some good knowledge on tonight. What would you give me? How did you just come up with empowerment agent? Like, you could have picked any words to describe what you do, but you chose those two words, two impactful words.
I think first of all, I think we are all empowerment agents. I think we all have the capacity to share our energy with people, which empowers them to feel good about themselves. We all have knowledge to share with people, which again empowers them to know more stuff and to become more on their own journeys. I think the reason why I chose empowerment agents is because you have a lot of coaches and you have a lot of these people who That's the title that they add to themselves. But I want to share stuff with people and be of service. So once I realized that my journey was going to be one of service, empowering others to be of service and impacting others was actually the best thing I could deal with, because I feel like if we choose if we choose what we want the journey to be like, and we put the
Hmm.
action towards that, it would create that effect. So if you say, and like I said, we are all empowerment agents, because we all either influence somebody around us, or we all empower them to start or to become more on their own journey.
Now you put two powerful words together: empowering and agent. When you combine them, there's so much power packed behind it. But I have to be honest with you. Have you met or dealt with anyone who you felt like, I'm doing all the empowering I can, but they're just not getting it? Like, have you ever had one of those situations where, I know for me as an educator, I work with high school children all the time, and I'm trying to empower them as an agent, but sometimes it just doesn't click for them right then, and maybe 3 months later they come back and say, you know what, Green, I remember when you said da da da. I get it now. So have you had a situation like that?
Dude, there are tons of situations like that. You deal with people like that every single day. The idea is for you not to lose the momentum in the
Hmm.
motivation. Don't lose the momentum in motivation, because the thing is, you're trying to motivate and to encourage other people to do different things. You're going to always run into the wall. You're going to always run into the skeptic. You always run into somebody that's a little bit more negative than positive. But like you just said, they will come back at some point, because it's their decision to accept and receive,
Hmm.
or to continue to keep that wall. And I always say that that same wall that we build to keep people out, it's what
Hmm.
keeps people from coming in to help us and to empower us. So you have to just keep going. Like, you're gonna run into a lot of those people. There are people like that everywhere you go. And that's what makes the world go around, right? We always have positive and negative. We're gonna always have those type of situations. So
Definitely, definitely, definitely. So what made you say, Trinidad, I got to get out of here? Like, you've come a long way to become an empowering agent.
yeah.
So was there like a day where you just woke up and had an aha moment where, I got to get the hell out of here, or I think I need to go somewhere else to spread my wings and fly more because I have a greater calling on my life, or was it one of those moments where my calling is much greater than this village that I'm in, so I need to spread my wings and fly?
It's like all of those things in one. I think like you read the bio completely, because it's you come from a place where you can either settle for what they have to offer, you can want more for yourself. I'm
Hmm.
the latter. I want more for myself. I've always wanted more for myself. I've always felt not as I've always felt excluded.
Hmm.
If and when I say excluded, I mean not treated badly, but felt a little different. And I was like, well, there must be more to this. And I always questioned stuff, and I was always looking at that. And being as a writer and a creator, I wanted to do more stuff. And I felt like, okay, you and I have something in common too. You love traveling. I've
Hmm.
always expressed and kind of harped on the fact that traveling expands your mind. So what better way than to leave an environment that you feel maybe not holding you back, but it's not giving you enough room to grow, and go into another environment. I mean, it's always a big chance. There's a lot of fear
Definitely.
involved, which I had to replace fear with faith and leave thinking that, listen, something's going to happen. It might take a long time, but it's going to happen. I think so. They were not. It was not an environment that was keeping me stagnant, because I choose whether or not I want to stay stagnant. It's just I
Hmm.
felt like the opportunities were limited, so I needed to expand by coming out of that environment and trying to become a little bit more.
Definitely. So you left, and was it there in Trinidad that you discovered your love for writing, or was it when you got here that you were like, I have a lot to share. I have a lot to tell. Let me start. I don't know if you did journals or if you were just writing freelance. How did you evolve into this author? I'm sorry, this best-selling author that we have on the show tonight.
I appreciate that. I will have to give credit to my little sister. I always give
Mm-hmm.
her credit in every interview, because she was the one that introduced me to, hey, you should write your thoughts down. Because I used to have a lot of problems with expressing myself.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, hey, write your thoughts down, and really like get it off your chest. Because if I was to get it
Right.
off my chest another way, I'll be very angry. So she was like, hey, figure this out, write it down. And I kept liking the idea of writing it down. And then I had so much things on my mind. I felt like if I write it down, I could make room for something else. So that's how it kind of started. And then when I came to the States, um, it started on Facebook, where I started writing a couple of things. A funny story: when I posted something that I wrote, I had a picture on there, my avatar, and somebody direct messaged me and said, "I love the way that you write, but why are you so afraid to put a picture of your real self?" And I was like, "What?" Because that time I was doing a little bit of modeling, so I put that up and I wrote something that was, I guess it didn't mesh for that person. And
Mm-hmm.
he messaged me and said, "Well, why don't you put up a picture of you?" And I'm like, "That is me. Like, I'm the guy in the picture." So it was weird.
That is me. Like this is the real me. These are just my words to attach to who I really am.
Yeah.
That is crazy, man. I want to share. Let me see if I can find it. I've been doing my homework.
Oh.
Um, so the name of this book is called Evolve. The journey continues. Evolve. Um, Now, when you wrote this book, you could have put a bunch of different words after evolve. You could have put run. You could have put fly. You could have put change. What made you pick the word evolve? Why does evolve stick out so much, or why is evolve so much more impactful for you?
The word evolve has a lot of meaning to me. I think that's what really stood out when I wrote that book. I think because we are all trying to become more. We're all pursuing some type of level of success. We're all pursuing some type of level of change, and evolving into something else or evolving into another level. It does take a lot of self-reflection. It does take a lot of you understanding yourself, accepting and adjusting as you go along. So for me, evolve at that point in time, and one of the reasons why is because before I wrote that book, and on the cover of the book, you'll see me with a red hat on, and I had like the socks, and that was me. And I was changing from this red hat that everybody knew me for, in terms of that was like a brand. And I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to come out of that brand. I wanted to evolve into something else, which was this, like a writer, the founder of the Damien Project, the founder of the You Were Not Invited segments. Like, I wanted to become that, and I felt in order to become that, I had to evolve
Mm-hmm.
in my own process. So I think the reason why I chose that word is because I felt it was also attached to the empowerment agent thing, because I feel like they both have such power behind them
Mm-hmm.
in terms of what's needed. And then when you do
Definitely.
evolve, what you become, it's so much more
Exactly.
than you were before.
And I think the word evolve also lets people know they're not on this journey by themselves.
Mhm.
So we're all evolving into something. So that word by itself is just so impactful. And I like how with the packaging of it, evolve just stands out. So if I were walking through a bookstore, I
That's
would
what
see
you
the
see.
word evolve
Yeah.
before the journey continues, because I'm an individual where I'm visual. So
Mhm.
even if I go shopping at the mall or somewhere, if I walk into a store, I can literally walk around a store, but something has to catch my eye in
Yeah.
order for me to be able to walk up to it and just be really engaged with it. So just that word evolve, if I'm in a bookstore and I'll just happen to be walking by, I'm gonna pick it up just because, number one, the red hat. I like red hats. You see this one I
Yeah.
got on? This says
Yeah.
this says made you look, Black Lives Matter. This ain't what you think it is. But I just I like red hats. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
just something else that we have in common.
Yeah.
This book, this book was released when?
I think, if I'm not mistaken, like around, but like maybe 6 years ago, 7 years ago. I
Okay.
mean, it's been something that has been out for a while. The one thing about the book itself for me is that I think there was no time stamp on it, in terms of it's
Mm-hmm.
something that should be able to be done, um, to go back and reflect on. So the
Right.
idea behind the book is to really reflect on. So I think it was in like 2017 we came up with that final edit of it. But
Mm-hmm.
I've had the book for years. Like, I've had it there. Like, I have another book just sitting there. I know it's been there from since like 2010. I have a book that's in my email. But this one was printed out in 2017, and again, it was mainly something that you could last. Like, it
Mm-hmm.
had to be something that you could go in and reflect. And people who buy the book see that there's a part to write your thoughts in. And I always advise them, write it in pencil, because a
Right.
month from now you'll be somewhere else. Hopefully, hopefully you've been in a different mindset. Hopefully there will be a lot of things that have changed and evolved with you. So you should be able to revisit that and say, "Oh, look how far I've come after like a
Mm-hmm.
month or 2 months."
Now, do you think that since a lot has happened with you personally and professionally, and even in the midst of what we're going through right now in a pandemic, do you think there will possibly be a second edition of this book where you add more to it, or?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, dude, as somebody who writes so much, and for somebody who has taken life experiences and made it into lessons, um,
Hmm.
there's so much book. You have a book in you. Like there's books you can write. Like I feel like we all have that, and sometimes that fear of not being accepted by other people, or people saying, "Hey, I didn't like the book that much." That's fine. So to do another book like this, it's coming. Like it's there because I write every
Exactly.
single day. Um, but the writing of the book initially was just to show somebody else that hey, you can do that too. You can write a book. It doesn't matter what people's perception of it is. It's what you think it is. It's what you
Definitely.
have gotten from that experience. Because writing a book is a powerful thing, and there's so much things that go into writing a book. And then when you put the book out, you're concerned if people will like the book. You're concerned if, like you said, if does the front catch my eye? Like oh,
Right.
but at the end, how fulfilling is that for you as an author or as a writer? So it's mainly about you and how it makes you feel. And then I think it also encourages other people to say, well, if you could write a book, I can write a book.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm gonna write my book, Garth. I promise. I'm gonna write it.
But you
I had
can't.
the right.
But now that you said that, I have to hold you accountable. See,
I
so
am.
all right,
I had to write my dissertation first. So once I got past that hurdle,
you were good.
talking to you makes me reminds me of how accountable I have to be. And now that I've gotten that big old book written, I need to write my actual story to or write some type of book to get some stuff out. And it's therapeutic in a way as well,
Yeah.
because you never know how writing can be your therapy and how it. I'm just writing and it can help, and what I'm writing helps someone else. So I
Yeah.
got you. I got you. Um, my next question is, um, well, it's not even a question. I love the work that you're doing, but I think people need to hear about it. So tell us more about the Dear Men Project. The Dear Men Project is something that I think how I first connected with you, from just scrolling on Instagram. And I'm like, yo, the Dear Men Project. Okay, this is uh, a project. It involves men, no matter what race, what ethnicity, all these different types from all walks of life. And someone is actually, as Ayala would say, doing the work to help us do the work. So tell us about this Dear Men project that you were so passionate about. How did you come up with it? How did it evolve to where it is now? And what are some of the things that are happening with it?
All right, so the Diamond Project is really, for lack of better words, dear to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that I've always wanted to do in terms of I've always wanted to create platforms for people. So like with the other segments, I've created a platform to give them a space. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but with the Diamond Project, I've always felt as though we're not. Everybody says that they're communicators, but I don't think that we're effective communicators as men.
Definitely.
And you touched on it, which I'm glad that you said that it's not a matter of just one race, but it's a matter of men in general. Now,
Mm-hmm.
do I focus a lot on black men now? Yes, I do. And I'm be transparent with you. I do focus on that now too, because I think there's a need for it. But does that
Definitely.
exclude everybody else? No, it doesn't exclude anybody else. Funny thing about the DMN project, mostly women message to find out stuff because like, yo, I can't understand this dude. Like, it's weird, but it works, right? So the DMN project came up in January. It took me 22 days to make the website from scratch. I just secluded myself and I did that. This was pre-COVID, mind you.
Mm-hmm.
I was already in quarantine on purpose. Um, and I wanted to put together some stuff where it was communication that people can relate to. So as with the book, it's relatable writing. As with the DMN project, it's something that men can relate to that they may not feel comfortable saying. Like I
Right.
wrote something about the female ego, and people were like, "What?" They're like, "What?" But when you get messages separately from the cool comments on Facebook and on Instagram, they say, "Hey, I totally understand what you're saying, but do you think this?" So guess what it just did? It started a conversation of explaining things so people have a better understanding of things. So the whole project is to create the conversation to help build a bridge between men and themselves and then the people around them so that we can solve all this programming that we've had. Big
Right.
boys don't cry. All these type of things where we have to limit our emotions and limit how we feel. More silent type, strong and silent type. Is that real? Is that a thing? Like, when we get to 40, do we just put extra weight on? Do we not take care of ourselves? Like, Am I not supposed to say to my girlfriend or my wife or my partner, hey, that hurt me? Like little things, little things, like even now with the whole pandemic, am I able to tell my girlfriend, hey, I hate this job, but I'm
Right.
fearful that I lose it, because if I lose it, guess what? We got to figure stuff out. And is she now able to say, babe, it's okay? Or is she say, hey, be a man, go do your job? Like, it
Hmm.
really, it's a subject that I know and it already has created a lot of debates.
And
uh,
Buzz.
it created a lot of tumbling, because people are like, oh, so you say I should tell her how I feel? Yeah, you should say how you feel. Like, it's fine, you know.
I think it's funny you say that because it does do that. The Dear Men Project causes us to have those uncomfortable conversations, and it allows us to recondition how we've been so used to maneuvering. So as men, we have been taught that it's not cool to cry, that it's not cool to share emotion, that it's not cool to state how you feel. But there has to be some type of catalyst, which is like the Dear Men Project, to help us better navigate and help us better communicate, because we don't feel comfortable. Jasmine just said we need to be more comfortable with having that type of communication. Definitely. It's crazy because we don't even like it. We talk with our boys, but we don't talk with our girl, or we don't talk with our partner, or we don't talk with our spouse. So it's like it's
But
easier.
do we really talk to our boys?
We talk around, and we talk in
Right.
circles,
So
and
this is the thing. So my thing is that you don't even have to just pinpoint it to talking to your partner. The thing is that you have to be comfortable to talk to your boys about stuff that's uncomfortable to you, and it not be a whole like all these different things that it could lead to this, or it could mean this. It could just mean what it is. Like, it could just mean that you don't feel good about something. Um,
definitely.
because I feel like as men, we've constant and funny enough, like just today I passed by the salon and this lady was walking in with her girlfriend, and I was like, oh, and she's like, yeah, we got to do our nails, and I was like, and I love women. I love how women support each other. I love how women take time out for each other and say, hey, you having a bad day? Like, forget this idiot. You know what? Come meet me out here. Let's go get our nails done. A guy and I will do something the same way. Like, hey, dude, meet me at the bar. Let's go get something to drink. Now, again, nothing is wrong with that if that's your way of coping, but it's not really coping. You're putting a band-aid on something that once you rip that band-aid off, you're depressed, right? Or you're gonna find another area to channel that negative energy into, that's only gonna lead to negative results. So how are we dealing? And I just put something up on Instagram saying healing starts the self-love process,
I
right?
like that.
Because it does, and we are all broken, every one of us, male and female. But guess
Hmm.
what? If we don't start that process, we'll continue to be broken, and then we break up homes, then we break up families, then we break up relationships, then we break up work. Like, it leads to so many different things. So I think this is what I want them to have the conversation. I want them to say, oh, that guy, that bald guy, is talking a bunch of foolishness. Men shouldn't say this and men shouldn't say that. And I'm like, all right, cool. That's your opinion. And we've been programmed for many, many, many years. If you look at the amount of things that have changed around men, everything is changing around men. Every single
Hmm.
thing, except men. Except men.
That's it. And Jasmine chimed in and said we have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. This includes friends and family as well, and that can go either way. That can go with men, dear women. We get so comfortable being uncomfortable that we don't even realize it as in a sense. And like you said, you're posting about the Dear Men Project, and you get a lot of more women inboxing and DMing you saying, "Well, how do I deal with, or how do I handle?" Because you're being this light of inspiration for them to help them better navigate, their dude. And
And,
you
and,
would just
and it does, the Dear Men Project, again, it's not aimed at only men, right? You see, I put in there, and for those who love them, because we
Mhm.
have family members that want to understand us better and want to understand what we're going through. But it's also on us to share that with them effectively, so they do understand, right? And the conversation has to get started. And if I start a conversation with one man that changes his way of dealing with his family or his circle, that's great. That's what I want. But then the other side of it too, and Jasmine made a good point, and I agree with Jasmine on all the points that she's made so far. The other side of that is, as women, are they accepting of that? Because guess what? If you close that door when I come to you and I tell you how I feel, I'm not coming through that door anymore. I'm done. Because
Yeah.
I'm already programmed to not share with you. And then when I do share and you close the door, guess what? I'm good.
I come to you in my vulnerability, and I share with you, and you're like, "Boy, get out of here, man, going on."
Agree.
Now
Agree.
I'm reconditioned again to shut down immediately and not share with you. No, I totally get it. When you speak about the Dear Men Project, you you have this phrase that says building a bridge between men and themselves. Building a bridge between men and themselves. What, like, this nugget is so impactful. What made you just sum this thing up as building a bridge between men and themselves?
The reason why I said building a bridge between men and themselves is because a lot of us men, don't know ourselves. We don't. There's a disconnect between what we're expected to be and who we generally are, right? There's that disconnect. And the only way to connect, if you're gonna connect Staten Island to New York, if you're gonna connect all these other places, the bridges that connect these places, that's what they need. They need a bridge to connect back to themselves. Because if you don't know who you are, if you can't relate the stuff that pertains to you, then you can't really effectively say stuff to anybody or communicate with anybody else, because you really don't know what you're talking about. You just follow in a program and that's it. So when I say building a bridge between men and themselves, it means let's start that process from within. Let's start from who we are supposed to be. And let's be comfortable with who we are. Because a lot of the men that you find out there, they are either a copy of something else or a copy of another copy. Either they're repeating the cycle of what their dad was in a negative way, or the people that they grew up in, and they're repeating that cycle, but they're not the true self. So you find we constantly put on this mask of who we want. We think they want us to be like. They think we want us to be the strong and silent type. When she might just want somebody to say, "Hey, babe, how was your day?" Like,
Mm-hmm.
and listen. We have a hard time doing that because guess what? We've been programmed that way. I always say my dad was my role model when I was growing up. He's still my role model right now, but there's some things that he did that I'm going to do differently because I
Right.
know who I am. I'm not him.
Mm-hmm.
There's some things I love the lessons he's taught me, but I'm not him. I'm me.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit more open. I talk a little bit more where I share my emotion and some stuff. And sometimes I say like I'm somewhat like my mother, in some areas, but it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean I'm less of a man because I do that. But you see, in most environments, when you step to that side where you're more expressive of how you feel, you get judged, and the fear
Yeah.
of being judged is what keeps us back.
Keep us back. Definitely. It's funny you made that point about I love my dad, but there are some things I would definitely do differently. I pride myself on saying um, I know how to be a great father because of how my father was not towards me. So if and when I am presented the opportunity to be a dad, I got the roadmap down because I know what he didn't work for me. So when I am extended an
It's
opportunity to be
different.
a dad, it's going to be totally different. And then you talked about the. Can I go back to this bridge for a second?
Yeah, yeah. Go
This
back to that bridge.
this as men, sometimes we don't understand the importance of the bridge. And I feel like the bridge is to help us get over where we're trying to get from here to here. So the
Exactly.
bridge is there to help us successfully navigate getting from one side to the next. But the problem is sometimes some of us look back at the bridge and have a cigarette in our hand
And lighting a fire.
and lighting a fire and the bridge burns. So if we burn bridges, we can't get back to where we need to get some help from if we need to get help. So um, how important is it as men in this Dear Men project to not burn bridges, to not burn people who can possibly help us if we need that help from them again?
And I'm gonna include a family member again. Um,
Okay.
my niece, one day, I think I was really frustrated with some stuff I was doing. This was before the Diamond Project, and I said to her, something she said to me, and I said, "Listen, I don't need anybody. I don't need anybody to help me with this. I can do it all myself. I've been doing it for a long time. I can do it by myself." She said, listen, Uncle God, everybody needs somebody. And as simple as that was, she just repeated something, and you hear that all the time. But she was
Hmm.
right. Like, I needed people to listen when I'm frustrated. I needed people to help me with certain things I was going through or problems I had. And
Hmm.
I've always been known, which is funny enough, because in my family, I've always been known as that guy who reaches out to the long lost cousin that you have. My dad laughs at me all the time. He said, you're like one of those guys that go and you like to, like you all, if you see somebody and you hear that he might be related to you, you want to talk to him. And I'm like, yeah, but that's how it's supposed to be. We're supposed to be connected. And a lot of people are disconnected. Like you say, they burn those bridges because now they feel as though, like, okay, well, I may not need that person again, but sometimes you do, and
Exactly.
you're right, we do burn those bridges. So now it's like, okay, how do we build the bridge and keep the bridge? How do we build the bridge, and when we connect the bridge between ourselves, yes, but then we connect to other people, we keep those bridges. But it's effective communication. It's being able to express ourselves in a way that people understand, because you may see something as a different way. Like, you will see something right now and you will have your own perception of it, right? And I may say something and be totally different. And you may say to me what you saw, and I'm like, nah, that's not real. That's not. I don't see it that way. But you have to be able to understand that. And once you understand that, you understand it's a different perception. So then you'll be able to deal with it, because everybody communicates differently, yes, but how effective is our communication? So that's
Yeah.
where the bridge comes in. It has to be something that, even if you're no longer in somebody's life, you should be leaving there on a good note.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It hardly ever happens, but you should be.
You should be most. The end goal is that you should be. So
Yeah.
that we want you guys that are watching to get to the should be. So don't burn the bridges, because you never know when you may have to cross that bad boy again.
Right.
Um, um, I'm gonna switch gears.
That's
'Cause
it.
I got to keep you on schedule.
Now you got some time. I got some time.
Um, this you are not invited segment.
Mhm.
This brainchild of yours, the you are not invited segment. How did you come up with it? Was it just something that you just randomly came up with one day and just said, you know what, I need to, because the name itself, you're not invited, will possibly turn somebody off until they log on to just listen. Yeah, tell us about the you're not invited segment.
Dude, none of these things are random. Let's be honest. Let's be transparent. None of these things are random. These things come up in life and we go through these experiences. So the You and I Invited segment came up when I've always been interviewed for either the book or for, like, if I did like a brand ambassador for something else. So
Mm-hmm.
people would want to interview me, and they would ask me questions, and it was all good. Like you've asked me questions that I want to answer, and I'm not throwing shade at anybody else, but I feel like I wanted people to um, I wanted to flip the script. So I was like, okay, I remember when I was now starting off, nobody wanted to interview me. Nope.
Wow.
It took me 10 years or more to get something that was solid, like a solid interview that would have made some type of impact on a broader scale. But even the little ones were hard to come by, because I was, it was constantly, oh, well, and okay. And I said, okay, because I trust the process a lot. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, okay. So when I wanted to get interviewed and share what I was doing with people, because I was really passionate about it, how did it make me feel? And it made me feel a little bit I don't want to say depressed, but it didn't motivate me to want to continue. So I had to be self-motivated. But what about
Mm-hmm.
the people who are not self-motivated, right?
Right.
They need that little push. They need that little light of fire that says, hey, listen, I'm going to build your confidence. We're going to have a conversation. And from here, you're going to do whatever you want to do, which has happened with our segment. So I wanted to give people a platform that they could come on. And if you were not invited over there, I'm inviting you over here, because
Yeah.
I want people to know what you're doing. Like, there's a lot of people I invited them here on Monday or Wednesday. On Friday, I get a message saying, dude, you will not believe what happened. And I said, what? Somebody saw the segment and they know I do nutrition. So this happened to my cousin. He said, they know I do nutrition. So they invited me to be on this weekly thing talking about nutrition. And you helped me build my confidence for it. And I said, but that's great. And I said, okay, next. So I already helped you. So I'm like, okay, good. Let's bring somebody else on. I had somebody who was a writer and a singer, and she was frustrated, but she didn't tell me this until after the segment. And she said, you just helped me to feel more confident about myself. 2 weeks after, she messages me, hey, somebody who realized I used to write. They knew me all the time, but they didn't know what I did. And when you have me in a segment, they found out. They called me to start a project, and I said, "Okay, good, next."
Wow.
So it's really to make people understand that we support you, even though we may not know much about you, we may not know much about what you're doing, but I support what you're doing because I realized when I was there and nobody gave me that little push and that little interview that to me would have made the world of difference. So I was like, okay, now I'm in a position to do it. Let me do it. And it's a lot. It's a lot because it's Monday and Wednesday. It was Monday, Wednesday, Friday every week. Then
Wow.
it became Monday and Wednesday with the DMN Project IG Live or edition on Friday. And I was advised not to stretch myself too thin. So they told
Right.
me, hey, do Monday and Wednesday for you and us invited, and then do Friday for DMN segment. And I said, okay, cool. I actually listened to what they said because I knew I was going to be burnt out. But it's a
Mm.
lot because I got to do research. I got to pay the money program. I got to have questions for them. I don't send questions to people because I want them to be their authentic self.
Yes, he does.
You know, I mean, yeah, like you had a great interview because guess what? It wasn't scripted. It was authentic. You saying what you are. You're an unsung hero, changing the educational system one person at a time. But guess what? There are people who are on my Instagram or my Facebook that don't even know who you are, and somebody might say, "Hey, I wish I could become a teacher, but I don't see any good examples."
Definitely.
So that's what it's about. It's really about me saying, "Hey, this happened to me long, long time ago. I don't want it to happen to many people. So as many people as I know, especially people, and I'm very biased. If I like what you do, and if I see you making an impact or being of service, I want you in the segment.
Hmm.
That's it.
Definitely. I come on, unsung hero. I'm not playing with her. I so I'm gonna take you back in like the time machine. Tell me about that first interview. What after 10 years, once you finally scored it, how was it? Were you nervous as all get out? Were your hands and palms sweating, or were you prepared for it because you had been prepared for it for years?
Dude, I'm always excited. I don't say nervous. I say excited.
Hmm.
When I got the first interview, I actually got the first interview, like really thing interview, back home in Trinidad.
Hmm.
And I was living in Atlanta. I was doing personal training, like I was doing in-home training. I started my little my fitness thing, um, and it was titled "Man on a Journey," right? And it was so weird because um, in the article, and this is how it goes, man. In the article, they talked about the fitness thing, they talked about leaving Trinidad, they talked about some of the people I worked with as a trainer, and I was really excited. So all my stuff that I get, I leave in Trinidad with my mom and my dad. I leave it on like a little place, so they collect all this stuff. And how they have it. But somebody put a comment on there saying, "Okay, so he left Trinidad and he went out there and he worked with a couple of celebrities. What does that make him? Like, okay, is he better than us? Like that type of mentality." And I was so excited. I didn't really think about it as much, but I felt really good to feel recognized for doing something that could inspire somebody else.
Definitely.
Not because I was on the papers or whatever, right? But because it could help somebody who's at in Trinidad saying there has to be more to this. Like what could I do? Like I'm kind of scared. And then they see somebody who's done it, they may come and do it better than me. And I'm okay with that.
Definitely.
Like I'm fine with that. But just do it because if you stay there stuck, guess what happens? There's a lot of resentment. Your environment becomes toxic. You blame yourself for things that you should have done that didn't do. So if I could help them to take that first step, and if that one article did that, I'm glad.
Hmm.
And that's when I realized I wanted to be somebody of service and help as many people to be motivated and empower them to make those decisions.
Definitely. Definitely. I appreciate that, man. The when you're the one that's the empowering agent and you're always empowering other people, hopefully and prayerfully you have a team of people around you that can pour back into you. Because when you're always giving, and pushing other people, sometimes we fall flat. Sometimes we just fall flat and we have no more left to give and we're just out of it. But hopefully you have some people around you that pour back into you and push you back up. So with that, being this empowering agent that you are, what type of self-care things are you doing during COVID? Like we're in the midst of a pandemic. We can't travel like we want to, so we have to find alternative methods for self care. So, what is Garth doing in the midst of this pandemic, just for self care for himself?
I've always been into self reflection. I've always been into that, and I started doing a lot more like meditation stuff early in the morning. So I'm up really early, and every place is totally quiet.
Yeah,
Um,
you be up at 4 o'clock.
early, but I always take like 10-15 minutes to myself. I don't touch the phone. I get off the bed. I sit. I thank God for another day. It's really weird, like for when I stay over by my family, because like if we're it all together and whatever, I get up early and I'm up, and then I sit on the edge of the bed or sit on the edge of the whatever, and I just give thanks, and I do that. So I feel like with COVID, it really helped to speed up that idea of all right, a little bit more meditation, a little bit more stretching. I tried Pilates. Like I'm doing more things that help me to feel better. Um,
Hmm.
and I feel like the more I center myself and I get to know who I am and keep knowing who I am, and like meditation has helped me a lot. Once I do that, I feel more at peace. So when I go out there and I talk to
Hmm.
people and I interact with the people who don't want any help, and then those who do want help, I'm still at peace and I'm still centered enough that I could kind of let that kind of bounce off. I mean, every once in a while it pisses me off. It does. But but I always say, well, imagine if I wasn't so centered for the most part, then I'll be really pissed off. So
Right.
but it helps. I think right now, especially now, I think we have the time to find ourselves or to reinvent ourselves, to rediscover ourselves. I think, and we need to utilize that time wisely. I've definitely tried to utilize it more, especially with like getting up early and the meditation and just quiet time.
Hmm.
Definitely need quiet time.
Definitely, definitely. I understand,
And,
man. We
and
have to.
I think my family, I've always talked about my family in every interview, every conversation, because my family, when I'm around them, I'm just me. I'm not the empowerment agent. I'm just God and I'm just there. And then I got nieces jumping all over me, kids jumping all over me, my son, grown man, hugging me, talking, giving me a bunch of jokes, always has me laughing about something. So, and those are the people I surround myself with, because I feel like those are the ones that don't expect anything from me. And they want to give me. So like they just their energy alone, laughter, just being able to watch a movie, like those things definitely it fuels me and it pours back in my cup, as you would say.
Yeah. They're just glad to be around you. They don't care about you being an author, a speaker, a thought leader. None of the other titles. We just want to be around God. We just want to be around Him and feel His energy and be able to pour back into Him, because we know it's rough out there for Him. They don't want anything from you, or maybe a couple dollars to go to the store and get some candy. You know what I mean? Like, it's good. It's good that we have family members like that who know the real us, who are able to see us doing, um, carrying on this great work that we're putting ourselves out there to do, and they don't want nothing from us just to see our face or see our smile or just be around us and watch a movie or something like that. So no, I totally get it and understand where you're coming from. One last thing, the other night when I was with you on You Were Not Invited, there was this phrase that you came up with, and it's been sticking with me since Monday, and it was a private chat in public. How important is that with your brand? Like, to be able to say we're having a private chat in public, because for some of us that are probably coming on, you were not invited, we wouldn't be able to do that. Like we haven't been provided the space to have that private chat, but you thought enough of us to empower us to do that. So was this something you just came up with because it sounded good, or it was intentional? Like, the people that I definitely know it was intentional, because the people you're having on
Yeah.
are getting calls and messages and stuff days later. But the fact, yeah, let me be quiet. Let me let you go.
No, 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 it's fine. It's fine. It again. I think I've learned now on my journey that everything is intentional. Everything is done on purpose. Everything is a reaction from an action or something like everything is connected, right? That's how I feel.
Mhm.
Now, the reason why I use the phrase private chat in public is because if I was to see you and we had a conversation, I would get the best of you. I would get the most authentic you. because you're comfortable. We have a conversation. You see how you really feel, and boom, I put a camera on you, and then you change to somebody else. I have always been comfortable with just being me. Good days, bad days, in between. Like I'm just me. So when I talk to people and I bring a guest on, I don't ever send them questions because I don't want it to be scripted. Like I said, so
Mhm.
you come on there, you're gonna be surprised. I ask questions that have to do with you and not what you do, because
Definitely.
sometimes we focus too much on what our title is and not what our destiny is, or our purpose is, or our passion is. So we focus on that. I focus on you. I focus on you. You and I had a good conversation about there should be more Black role models in as teachers, right? There should be more value placed on that. Now, you and I had a private chat in public because other people were watching, but I got you, authentic you. And
Mhm.
anybody I bring on this segment, I ask them, I said, they always message me the day before and they say, hey, what do you need from me? Always, without a fail. What do you need from me? And my response to them could be a copy and paste. I just need you to bring the authentic you. That's it. Once you bring that, our conversations are going to be just like this. It's going to be flowing easily. There's no assumptions. There's no miscommunication. If you want me to share something and say, hey, could you explain that for me? I will explain it to you because it's a natural flow of things. And what we've done as people, not just men, but as people, we've put so many different boundaries and stuff, and we've lost the authentic conversation, which is the private chat that we normally have. 'Cause when you get home, you say, how you doing today? Like, yo, this fool out there just pissed me off, right? But then somebody say, hey, God, how you doing today? Hey, I'm well. I'm well. Are you?
This is it.
No, you're not. So
Are you really well?
are you really well? Yeah. So it's really to get people to be authentic. And once
Mhm.
you bring that authentic self, the conversation just goes, and until we don't have enough time.
Definitely, definitely. So, Garth, I'm gonna close this thing out and just ask you for anybody who may be watching. What are just some words of wisdom from your lens that can? What are some words of wisdom from from your empowerment agent lens to just help someone push a little bit further? It's Hump Day. We're in the midst of a pandemic. What can you share as far as insight or words of wisdom for someone that may be watching?
People worry too much about things that they cannot control. They
Like that.
worry about things that they cannot control, and they neglect the things that they can control. They do every single day. They worry about what could happen and what did happen and what could happen if this doesn't happen, and then what could happen if this doesn't happen and that doesn't happen. But we lose focus. We neglect the controllables, and we focus so much and worry so much about things we have no control over. And all we do is we keep ourselves back. I learn that every week. Every week I learn that there's some things like tonight. So just so you know, tonight I had to have somebody come on. I was very excited about her coming on the program. I'm not going to say who it is yet because I want to push her back to next week. But I was excited to have her. And I did everything. And then she said, hey, my daughter, and I hope her daughter gets better soon, got in an accident like a day
My
before,
goodness.
right? And first thing I said is, hey, family first. I get you. We can do this later on. That was not in my control. So the way how it happened, guess what happened? You were like, hey, let's do this thing on Wednesday. And what did I tell you? I'll make time for it
Yep.
because I will make time for it. And then now it's like I have this time to have the conversation with you because I don't have to rush to do that other thing because guess what? It was out of my control.
Out of my control.
Did I worry about it? No, I didn't worry about it. I can't worry about it because I can't control that, you know? So
Don't worry about it, guys. If you can't worry about the things that you cannot control, put that on a post-it note somewhere in your house.
dude,
Stick it
you
on
know
your
how relevant that is though, Doc? Hear how relevant that is. When COVID happened, what could you have controlled?
nothing at all.
Stay inside. Don't go anywhere. Make sure you buy all the toilet paper and the water in Costco and just buy it and stay home. We couldn't
That's it.
control it. And what did people do? They were worried about stuff when that was the time for them to reinvent themselves. That was the time for them to focus on things that they say they didn't have time for. You're inside. So focus on it. Like utilize your time. I had to tell my son. My son said, I'm getting so frustrated. And I said, you do graphic design for me. Create a business.
Right.
Time to do it. You have no school to go to. You can't go anywhere. You're inside. Your computer's right there. Wi-Fi works. Utilize your time wisely. So when COVID happened, COVID was a reminder that we worry about the things that we cannot control and we neglect the controllables.
That's right. Too much. We worry about them too much.
Too much.
So, Garth, thank you for that, man. Somebody watching, including myself, needed that. We spend too much time worrying about things that we can't control, and we can't just stop worrying. It's plain and simple. Stop worrying about whatever it is because you can't control it anyway, and just be patient with the process, and don't burn any bridges while you're out there on this journey in these streets. Tell the people how they can keep up with you, man. How can they follow you, keep up with you? How can they follow you on all the different platforms and stuff?
Really simple. I put all of this stuff into one thing. So I'm on Instagram at I am Garth Voisin, Voisin. It's Instagram posts. All this stuff is on there. The You Are Not Invited segment is on Monday and Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. It's on IG Live. It's not a fancy thing, just on IG Live. The platform helps to connect people, so that's good. The DMN Project IG Live is actually on a Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. Same thing. It's on there. The links are on there. The previous shows are on there. And then the DMN Project is www.dmnproject.com. So that's www.dmnproject.com. There are links on there. I also offer a free service in terms of free conversation. I say it's not coaching, it's a conversation. Just for people who just want to have a conversation about something that may help them to maybe see things a little differently or help them to discover something they already know. I do it on the DMN Project website. They can direct message me on Instagram as well. I'll try to help as much as I can. The Journey Continues Evolve book. You asked about another or expanded edition. Because we were sold out on this one on Amazon. It's available on Amazon Kindle. But I want to reprint the books at least by the beginning of 2021 so that we can have a little more conversation with the book too. So I'm Garth Voisin on Instagram. All this stuff is on there, even the link to the DMN Project. The DMN Project is www.dmnproject.com. And The Journey Continues to Evolve is on Amazon Kindle for now. And it will be back on Amazon for paperback copies, most likely in 2021.
Definitely. Well, thank you, man. Thank you for coming. Shoot, everybody, make sure you go follow my brother right now. Go follow him on Instagram. Go to Amazon and download the Journey Continues. The Journey Evolve. The Journey Continues Evolve on Amazon. You get it on the Kindle app now as well. Make sure you follow him. Make sure you support him. Support the Dear Ben Project. Support the You Not Invited segment. He's doing some amazing things out there. And please share this broadcast. Please follow him and tell other people to follow him as well. This has been this week's edition of Dialogues with Doc. I'm Dr. Calvin Green. Thanks to my special guest, Mr. Garth Voisin, for joining me on tonight. We hit you guys twice this week. I joined him on Monday. He joined me tonight on Wednesday. So go rewatch Monday if you didn't see it as well. And I will see you guys on next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for next week's edition of Dialogues with Doc. Be safe in those streets. Wear your mask and make sure you vote on November 3rd. Thanks, Garth.
All right, man.